Hello and welcome to The Hero Spouse. I'm Kendra Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have an anonymous female left behind spouse. Her bomb drop was March of 2018 and date of marriage is 1991. She has a boomerang or clinging boomerang because she stated both. She has two parts to her question. And I should remember which, but I don't remember which from having worked with her before. And he is a high energy replayer. So there are some additional elements to this story, but since she's not discussing them in the question, I'm not going to bring them up at this point. And just so you know, some of the answers are going to be more in depth than I can do right now. So what I'm going to do to get more in depth is I'm going to try and find some time to go back and review the situation and try and come back to some pieces of the question later. Just submit again and remind me. Okay. So I think I might point that out when I get to that piece. So here's what we're going to do. She says, I found out that my ex-husband gave a promise ring 2 days after I filed to divorce to the Alienator to protect myself financially. Oh, after I filed to protect myself financially. He bought her an $800 jewelry in 3 days before the divorce, and then he got engaged 1 month after the divorce. Quick divorce, 3 months. He got married 4 months later. In July. So July of last year he got married, which was 4 months after the divorce. So it sounds like you filed in January because July is 7 months and 4 and 3 is 7. That would be last year, 2021. He bought her a $7,000 wedding set, a $3,000 in wedding day gifts. Her wedding didn't cost that much. A beach wedding. She had 2 dresses. I wore my mom's dress, but it was an antique, so it was actually my great-grandmother's, but I mean, it cost me $100. My goodness, 2 dresses. Okay, 200 photos. We had my uncle and disposable cameras, 200 photos in the water and the beach. And then she says, this isn't anything he would have ever done in 30 years. My ex-husband hated pictures. We have not had one professional family portrait in 30 years. Wow, neither have we. That I can think of. He kept the wedding a secret. They'll have been married a year at the end of July. I found out 10 months in. This has helped so much with detachment, but I still can't understand the reason for the secrecy. So that's what you remember. She didn't find out for 10 months. That is a little odd. Although in MLC, it's not as odd. He's had a history of limerence with escape and avoid. This is a whole new level. Is this secrecy part of trying to stay in the fantasy? Then I'm going to go on to the next piece. Our first bomb drop, I think she says bomb drop 18. I think she means in 2018. We never stopped seeing each other. He didn't process any issues, so when leaving in October of 2020, the behavior was extreme. The second bomb drop was in October of 2020, or in 2020. He moved out and immediately got engaged and married in 7 months. Did replay start on the bomb drop in 2020? Now that is a really good question. And this is the one I also wanted to review so I could look at that period, what we discussed about that period before that second bomb drop where he left. Because typically I would say, no, bomb drop is what it is. But if it didn't quite take, he was a clinging boomerang because he didn't see each other. Was he at home? It sounds like he was still at home. I should remember these things, but I don't always. But I think you might have something there also. Sometimes they're trying not to go in. Remember that at the beginning of the tunnel, that light at the end of the tunnel or the beginning, they are cycling more. So he was really holding back possibly from going in and may not have fully gone into advanced, let's call it, or extreme, as you've said, replay. Until that point. So yeah, his timeline might have just got extended within that. I'm going to look later, but very much. And so that's what I want. That's the piece that I really want to go read up on the situation a little bit more. I might not have a more advanced answer, but if I can see something, I might. So the next part is just what about that secrecy? There's guilt, there's shame. He doesn't want to acknowledge it, but he spent all that money. Now, I'm thinking when he spent all that money, that was about her. Sounds like a beautiful wedding. Sucks, doesn't it? As you described it, I thought of my cousin's wedding, and it was his first, so it's okay. But with the beach and the beautiful pictures, and I don't know that there were two dresses. There might have been, but but the over the top, not just two dresses, but all of this jewelry. She is somebody who is high maintenance, and he's trying to maintain her. That's right there hard, especially for someone who's so much against it. And so some of the things that I'm sensing in that this is how you prove your love to me. Either she could have said it directly to him, or he has inferred it from things she said, if she was less direct. Or maybe she was not quite, maybe she knew she was saying it, but it was still not direct, and he inferred it. Or she was beating around the bush a little bit, and he just thinks that, and he could think correctly, but she's not saying it outright, or she's just being very manipulative about it. So I'm thinking that she's directing a lot of this, because why would somebody who hates pictures and isn't over the top, and it sounds like is very frugal, doing all that? Yeah, it's a midlife crisis thing also. But think about, and I've seen women tell men this, who dreams of their wedding? Who dreams of being the princess, the queen, the star of the show? Typically, Chuck said it, for him, he dreamt about it, I guess, but because he had a whole plan. It didn't match mine, so we combined them. But women dream of their wedding. Women dream of their dresses. They, have pictures of them. Do we see in very many magazines, or any? I don't think there's one, but there could be, called Groom's Magazine, but there are several that are Brides Magazine and other titles. And they're huge, thick things. It's all the dream of the woman. That one day, which I find rather annoying, because it's one day. I would rather we focus on the marriage, not the wedding. But it is a rite of passage, and we do need to have those rite of passages have something to mark them as important. And that's why we have all of that cost and spending and big deal. So they need to be a big deal. I just wish they weren't quite so big a deal. She probably was the architect of all of that. And it's because she's the woman. She wants this big wedding. She wants these things. And I don't know if she's been married before or not. And if she has, usually you go less on it. But not her. And he did it for her because she's been dreaming of it, because she wanted it. Or maybe, let's say she had been married before, but it was a quickie, or she didn't get to have the dream. He's trying to give her the dream. Now, is he trying to do it because he's a wonderful and nice guy, or because he feels manipulated, or both? He's still trying to give her the dream. Now, why the secrecy? There could be many reasons for that. Some of it is deep down. He's admitting to himself, but he's not admitting it openly, publicly, and maybe even pushing it out. So he's subconsciously, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't me. I feel badly. I have to give in. I'm giving in. I'm giving in. And so he doesn't want to talk about it. Or he recognizes what he did with you versus with her. And I don't mean how he's betrayed you. I mean that he didn't do all of these sort of things. And so he's a low profile kind of guy. And she's a high profile kind of person. And he's still not trying to flaunt it in that way and keep it out there. Now with Chuck, I can't imagine him hiding it, because he was trying to flaunt it in my face constantly, what we were doing. You mean the woman who's going to make me a grandpa? Constant. But he's very low profile. It's not because he's trying to spare you. He might say that sometime. And sure, there could be elements of it, but I really don't think that's it. I think he's trying to, she's doing all this embarrassing stuff, and I'm just going to bury my head in the sand. I'm just the guy getting drug along. And sometimes men think that about weddings. It's her wedding, I get to say, but it's her thing. I'm just kind of doing what she wants. And I think that's it. The secrecy is, this isn't my thing. He's a little bit embarrassed. Now, why would he do all these stuff when he's embarrassed? She's pushed him into it. And maybe he thinks he can forget everything that happened before. And the things that happened before in this situation were traumatic and tragic. And I know he doesn't want to forget anybody, but he might want to forget the feelings and emotions that go with it. And if he can just put the past in the past and move forward, then maybe he can have a life. Because he's having trouble letting go of his pain, letting go of his guilt, letting go of the memories and the cycling of the events of those last days. Okay, I'm going to say it, of the last days with your daughter, in those last moments. And he doesn't want to forget her, so he feels guilty. But he wants to forget how it makes him feel. And he can't remember her without remembering those painful feelings. So he's going to run from them. But he feels guilty because he's running from them, and her, when he's with her, he's running from them. And he's trying not to remember, but he wants to keep that part a secret. He wishes he could just have these two lives. I want to have this fantasy life here where I don't remember the pain. And I wish I could have the life over here too. But he can't have both of those. And so he doesn't want to tell this life about this life. Okay. I hope this is helpful. And I'll see everybody in the next question.